Hello everyone, and welcome to the My Miami Story webinar. I am Stuart Kennedy. I'm the Director of Program Strategy and Innovation at the Miami Foundation. I'll be taking you through the webinar today together with my colleague Roshni Neslidge and Bernadette Morris from Sunshine Communications. We'll just give you a quick overview of the foundation, some of what we're working on here with the My Miami Story project and the Our Miami report that's tied to it. We'll give you some how-tos, and then we'll answer some questions. So all of that coming up in this webinar. So first, the Miami Foundation is a community foundation for all of Miami-Dade County. Our mission is to connect philanthropy with community needs. Basically what that means is we exist to make Miami better, improve the quality of life here. To know if we're improving or not, we decided we need to have a baseline, an understanding of how we're doing now as a community. So we created something called the Our Miami Report in 2012, and we did that again in 2014. We're doing it every other year. So 2016, the Our Miami Report will be coming out this Sunday. It's a data-focused picture of how we're doing as a community. It covers 8 issue areas, everything from arts and culture to health and safety to the economy to transportation and beyond. Since it is a very data-focused project, we wanted to make sure that we saw the human element of Miami, kind of how people are really experiencing this data, what people's stories are here in Miami. And that's why in 2016 we created My Miami Story. And the idea is that we'll get folks across Miami-Dade County to tell their stories, have conversations with their friends about the things that matter to them all on one day. So that's what we're going to be talking about most today. But before we get into My Miami Story and the specifics, let me pass it over to Roshni, who is going to tell you a little bit about the housekeeping items for today's webinar.
Thanks, Stuart, and thank you all for joining us. Just a few things for you to know as we go through this webinar. First of all, you are all on mute, so if you do have any questions, there's a portion to the right of your screen that's running GoToWebinar where you can ask questions or chat with either us or the other people in the group. So please feel free to utilize that. We will have a question and answer time at the end of this webinar for you to ask anything that may be on your mind. Also, we are currently recording this webinar, and we will be posting this to YouTube by the end of the day today. So if you didn't hear part, if you want to watch it again, or if you know someone who may be interested in hosting, you can refer them to the webinar, and they'll be able to do it.
Thanks, Roshni. And a big part of this is so that we can answer your questions. So if you have questions, please be sure to be filling those in on the GoToMeeting box throughout the conversation as we present, so that we've got them all ready and teed up when it's time for the Q&A period. So, about the My Miami Story project. We think that life in Greater Miami is captured in the stories of the people that live here. Data tells one side of the story, but really what we want to hear is how people experience this place. So we're having a county-wide conversation on October 18th with hosts that'll get together with their friends, their colleagues, etc., to have conversations throughout the day, dispersed throughout the community. So this is not something that the Miami Foundation is doing in one centralized place. We're really trying to expand the reach of this by having a network of people host their own conversations. And what we really hope is that these conversations, we're hoping to have 100 of them on the 18th for 1,000 people participating, is we're hoping to spark change. So we're hoping that as you come together with your friends and colleagues and you talk about those things that matter to you, that you care about, it's reflected in the data in the Our Miami report, you start to think about how we can make Miami a better place to live, and we all start to get empowered to take individual actions to make a change in our community. So again, this is not about what the Miami Foundation is doing necessarily ourselves, but it's about how we can help facilitate action throughout the community. So for the logistics of the actual event day, I'm going to pass it over to Bernadette Morris, who's been helping us coordinate all of our hosts and who can be a resource for you as a host as we get closer to the 18th.
Thank you, Stuart, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for participating in today's webinar and for joining us as a host for the My Miami Story activity. As Stuart has already shared, the event is right around the corner. It is taking place on Tuesday, October 18th. And as the host, you have the opportunity to determine if you'd like to have your guests over for breakfast or for lunch, to your office, to your favorite restaurant, wherever you would like for them to meet up and converse on these important topics of interest would be wonderful. We're also hoping that you plan to have anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 or 12 guests to join you as you converse and get together and discuss some of these key and important issues. And you should have received your toolkits and materials, which we're going to talk about later on in the webinar, that would help you also guide you along the way. So thank you again, and let's keep going and talk a little bit about our guests. Now, you would have received in an email that we sent you and also the materials that were mailed out to you, the host invite guest invitation. It's a concept, a template for you, a sample, so that you could use to send out your email notices to your guests that you would like to have to your place. We think it's important that you send some correspondence out to them and tell them a little bit about what you're going to be doing and where it's going to be and the time you're going to have it. And we'd also like for you to send a copy of that information to us as well so we can have it in our data file and listing. We also would like for you to keep track and keep record of your guests that will be joining in the conversation. So we have also included a template, an Excel spreadsheet, so you would have an opportunity to list out your guests and their names and certainly share a little bit about what's going to happen with them as well.
So to reiterate there, the most important thing is that you ask some friends over for a conversation. That's the basics of this project, and that's really all you have to worry about. If you're doing that, you're getting it right. You're getting people over and you're having a conversation. So we'll talk about a bunch of these other kind of points, things we're hoping happens, but that's really the core of it. So don't stress. That's kind of a big part of this project. It should be stress-free relatively. But really, we would really appreciate it if you would collect your guest names and email addresses. Thanks to the Knight Foundation, who's supporting this effort, we will be able to work with the University of Illinois Chicago, who will be doing a full analysis of the conversations that happen on the 18th and after the 18th. So they'll be sending out a survey the day afterwards to all the participants to collect feedback about what happened. And that's really important for us. That's how we capture what happens on this day. We can't be at every conversation. So it's really important that we capture this information. And then we'll compile that information, analyze it, and we'll put it back out to the community in a report so that folks know what was talked about and what folks care about. So that's a really important piece of this puzzle. So as you gear up for your conversation during the event and afterwards, we would love your help sharing the My Miami Story project. So we're using the hashtag MyMiamiStory at for Facebook, Twitter, all of your social media channels. And if you go to mymiamistory.org and click on the green button for the host materials on the right-hand side of the screen, then you'll see some social media materials that you can get, so some images and stuff like that that can help you share it. As Bernadette mentioned, you should have all received a toolkit in the mail if you signed up before Thursday. So this would be a physical copy of what is also available online in Spanish and Creole, actually, online. And it is the toolkit. So what that is, it's basically a booklet. It's a conversation guide. It tells you how to set up for the conversation. It gives you some prompts to get conversation moving. It tells you what to do towards the end. So you can use that as much as you'd like. Again, don't stress about this too much. We'd love for you to look at it. We hope it's helpful for you, but it's there as a resource for you. It's kind of like if you get a board game. Some people like to read the instructions, and some people like to just kind of figure it out on their own. And that's what that conversation guide is about. The other thing that will be in there is a pack of fact cards. So from the Our Miami report, we've pulled out facts about Miami that we think are interesting, we hope you think are interesting. What we're hoping that you do with these is that you spread them around the table so that as you arrive, as your guests arrive for the conversation and they start to sit down and kind of chat with each other, they can casually be picking up and looking at these facts. So it's not something we want people to have to study, memorize, there's nothing like that. It's just interesting points about Miami and how we're doing that we hope will help spur some of the conversation that's happening. Towards the end of the conversation, we're hoping that you as hosts guide this conversation towards the end towards what you can do, what individuals can do about those issues that you care about. If you care about education, thinking about how maybe you can tutor a nephew or a niece in math or reading if they're struggling in that. If you care about larger issues like getting a park in your neighborhood, thinking about how you might be able to reach out to a commissioner to advocate for that park, and everything in between. So all different levels of kind of what can you do about this this issue, you know, and one of the simplest things you can do is vote in the elections coming up on November 8th. So we're hoping that as you finish the conversation, you might be interested in taking a video of yourself or some of your guests. It could be a selfie, it could be very simple on your cell phone, and just saying what you care about and what you're thinking about doing to address that issue, and then calling out a friend a la Ice Bucket Challenge to make their own video. So I could say, my name is Stuart, I care about arts and culture, and I'm going to go to the symphony this weekend to support it, and I want to hear what Roshni Nesledge is up to and what she's going to do. So it's as simple as that. That's the idea with the personal commitment videos. We're hoping this takes on a bit of a life of its own online. And so as a result, as I've mentioned, we're really hoping that you learn more about the people around the table, that you understand your community a little bit better, and that you understand these issues in a more, in a deeper way. We're going to compile the results. We really hope you fill out the survey and get your guests to fill out the survey. By the way, we'll have hard copies of those surveys available if your guests don't have access to the internet or email. We can send out hard copies so folks can fill it in by pen and paper and mail it back to us. And that's really the basics of the program. We have support for you. So again, we're trying to minimize stress and anxiety here. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to Bernadette Morris at the phone number listed on your screen. You can email us at mymiamistory@miamifoundation.org, and we can help with anything that you need. And that's really our webinar. So that's what we have to go through with you, and we would love to answer any questions that might have. And Roshni is going to moderate the question and answer period.
Sure. So again, if you do have any questions that weren't just answered, feel free to type them in the question box on the right-hand portion of your screen, and we will be happy to get to them. The first question comes from someone who just asked if they need to record the conversation while it's happening, or if you want them to write anything down, or how they should actually handle that component.
So that is why we'll be sending out the survey, so that you can have a relaxed conversation without worrying about taking notes or recording the conversation. If you wanted to Facebook Live the conversation or something like that, I think that would be very cool, and we would love to see it. And if you're interested in doing that, let us know so that we can help promote it, the fact that you're doing it. But in short, no need to take any notes if you don't want to.
And what kind of feedback should we ask, or should the host give the Miami Foundation?
So we would love to hear your feedback. This is an experiment, really. We're doing this for the first time. We're not sure how it's going to go. So any feedback you have about the event, about how we've prepared you for it, about the usefulness of it, etc., we would love to hear. And again, mymiamistory@miamifoundation.org is the best email to send any feedback.
Okay. Someone received their toolkit already, and they said that the shirt they received wasn't the correct size. Is there another way they can get another size?
So unfortunately, given that this is the first year and we are and we're pulling this together, we made one size t-shirt, so that all the t-shirts are large t-shirts, and I apologize if that is not your size, but we're hoping you can either wash it in really hot water and it'll shrink to your size, or you can share it with somebody at your table that maybe it does fit.
Is the press going to be at any of the sites?
That is a great question, and we are working with our PR agency to get press out on the day of this event, and we would love to offer up all of your conversations to the press so that they can stop by if you're okay with that. And so we actually have some folks from Bernadette's team at Sunshine Communications. Simone is calling hosts today to ask for the details of your conversation, the location and the time of it, so we can share that both with foundation staff, so we can stop by and say hi if we're able, and also with press, so that they can come and see the conversations in action. So we would greatly appreciate your sharing that information with us so that they can come by.
Someone asked mayors for their conversation.
So we actually are very fortunate to have sponsorship from Pollo Tropical, who offered some gift certificates to some of the hosts. So if you're interested in Pollo Tropical gift certificate, we have a limited number, and it's going to go pretty much on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you are interested in Pollo gift certificates, email mymiamistory@miamifoundation.org with that request, and we will see if we're able to get it to you if other folks haven't requested it first.
A couple of other items. If you are on this call and are not able to host it on October 18th, the foundation is open to discussing another time or date that would work with you in this upcoming week. So please be sure to email mymiamistory@miamifoundation.org and let them know so that we will be able to accommodate you accordingly. And also, in your toolkits, you received 4 stamps, and those stamps will hopefully be used to send back 4 of the fact cards with some of the comments that you may feel are most the issues and areas that you most discussed or spent the most time in discussion with during your conversation, so that the foundation would have this data and this information and make sure we're addressing things appropriately as you would like for this to be.
Thanks, Bernadette. That's a great point I forgot to mention, is that if you look at the back of your fact cards when you get them, you'll see it looks like a postcard. With a space for a stamp. The return address is the Miami Foundation's address already filled in, and there's a couple prompts in there, but really anything you want to scribble down on that postcard and send back to us, we'd appreciate knowing.
We did have another question come in from Sean, who wants to know if there are going to be follow-up events later after October 18th.
So we will have some follow-up events in 2017. As I mentioned, this is really a pilot. It's an experiment for us doing this. 2017 is our 50th year anniversary here at the Miami Foundation, and we anticipate having more My Miami Story conversations coming to you in 2017. So we will keep you posted on that.
And then someone just asked if we could repeat the email address one more time.
The email address is on your screen still, and it is mymiamistory@miamifoundation.org.
Okay. If someone hasn't received their toolkit yet, are they, you know when they may arrive, and also could they come to our office and pick them up?
If they haven't received their toolkit yet, I think the last batch of toolkits went out this morning. So if you signed up later than this morning, then you won't be receiving a physical toolkit. We can get some physical toolkits here at the foundation that you can pick up. We would appreciate knowing if you'd like to do that by emailing mymiamistory@miamifoundation.org so that we can make sure we have some here for you. The majority of them are with Sunshine Communications in their offices, so we'll just have to get them here at the foundation to make sure we can accommodate you.
And that's all the questions we have.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for sticking in there with us. Thanks for participating in the webinar today. And a big, big thank you for taking on My Miami Story Conversation as a host. We really appreciate you doing that with us.
And we look forward to you sharing all of this information on your social media accounts and telling everybody that you're a part of this great activity.
Thanks so much. Hope you all have a nice day and weekend.
Bye.